Hey, hey you. Yeah, you, with the tiny little propeller hat. Come here. Come a little closer. Closer. Hey, I got a new Discord server. Link in the description below. Join! Also, I want to apologize for how my voice sounds at the beginning of this video. I was getting over a cold and I was running on like 2 hours of sleep when I recorded that. So, I hope you still enjoy the video and be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. What's going on, YouTube? I'm Inteleon, and today we're going to be looking at Charlie Lockyer's 8th place finish deck from last week's Toronto Regionals. This deck is all about keeping your opponent's Pokemon from attacking. The main attacker, Articuno from Silver Tempest, has the Wild Freeze attack that does 70 damage and paralyzes your opponent's Pokemon, but has a drawback of doing 50 damage to itself. In order to combat this downside, we run 4 Emergency Jelly, where at the end of each turn, the Pokemon this card is attached to has 30 HP or less, and it has any damage counters on it. Heal 120 damage from it, and then discard this card. That means we can use Articuno's Wild Freeze ability 2 times, attach an Emergency Jelly, and heal 100 damage for the Articuno to be able to keep repeatedly using Wild Freeze to keep your opponent's Pokemon from attacking. This deck is primarily good against Lugia VStar, which runs maybe 1 to 2 switching options. This deck also runs 2 Drapion V to deal with your opponent's Mew VMax. In addition to Articuno, this deck also features Eiscue from Evolving Skies with the Block Face attack. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon from attacks from basic Pokemon. This is pretty much an auto-win against decks like Regigigas. We also include cards like Radiant Alakazam and Quick Shooting Inteleon from Chilling Reign to be able to spread damage around and to get knockouts on the bench while your opponent's active Pokemon is paralyzed and unable to attack. Now this deck is a tiny bit different than Charlie Lockyer's list. I opted to get rid of a single Irida for a Path to the Peak to slow your opponent down even further. This deck also features Roseanne's backup, which allows you to recycle your resources to be able to use them more often. I hope you all enjoy watching this video. What cards would you change in the deck? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, so in this matchup, my opponent goes first, and I don't have any basic Pokemon starting with, so my opponent gets to take a mulligan. I do end up getting an Articuno and an Eiscue in my hand. I put the Articuno in the active spot and leave the Eiscue in my hand for later in case I'm fighting a basic deck like Reggie's, which we see here. So my opponent takes their turn, they get their board set up, they go for a quick ball, discarding a Scoop Up Net. They get a Regieleki, which they then put on their bench, yep. And then they pass. So I decide to put down my Manaphy to block Regieleki's attack, and I also put down my Eiscue, which my Regis can't hit. So I get a quick ball, I go ahead and get out a Sobble, which I can use to Shady Dealings next turn, and I pass. Now my opponent takes their good old time here figuring out what they're gonna do. They go ahead and play a Marnie, which isn't too great for me, but I do get an Emergency Jelly, which is okay. And I see I have a Scoop Up Net and a Boss's Orders, and not much I can do here. I go ahead and Quick Ball, get rid of the Emergency Jelly. I'm probably not going to need that for this match. Get another Sobble out, and I'm going to have to call that good enough for this turn. Now, the Reggie player's getting everything they need set up. All they need is a Regidrago and some special energies in the discard pile, and they can start hitting big numbers. The Regice uses Regigate to get the Regidrago on the field. I top deck an Irida, which is incredible. I go ahead and get a Drizzile and a Capacious Bucket. I go ahead and check my deck, see if there's anything else I need, or see if I have anything prized. I go ahead and Drizzile. Use Shady Dealings, and I grab out a Level Ball. Just looking to see what else I got in there. Level Ball for another Drizzile. Go ahead and Shady Dealings again. We get an Irida for next turn. And I go ahead and Capacious Bucket, get 2 Water Energies, attach one to the Eiscue, and then we pass. Looking pretty good for the next turn. They may get an attack. Oh, no, they just pass. They don't have anything going on. So I go ahead and scoop up the Articuno. Going with the Eiscue. I play the Irida. Looks like my quick shooting Inteleon is prize, which is unfortunate, but it's okay. I grab my Shady Dealings Inteleon and a Hisuian. Nope, not a Hisuian heavy ball. Another bucket? Nope. See, with this deck, you gotta be really careful with your resources, not to get things you don't need and to get the stuff you need at the right time. So I Shady Dealings go ahead and get a Scoop Up Net and a Raihan, and I go ahead and scoop up the Inteleon, put down a Sobble, just so that I can repeat Shady Dealings next turn. And I block face the Regice, 70 damage, and now they can't hit my Eiscue. So if they're gonna want to attack, they're gonna have to boss up something on my field. They attach and pass, which is unfortunate for them. At this point, I really don't need too much. I'm pretty much set up how I need to be. I go ahead and Shady Dealings and grab a level ball. Yeah. I play the level ball, get out another Sobble. And I go ahead and block face again. No. I'm recording this after the audio after the video, so that's why I'm not too sure what I do. I go ahead and Shady Dealings. I grab a Rescue Carrier and a Scoop Up Net, so that in case my Sobbles do get knocked out, I can get those back into my hand. I go ahead and block face for the knockout. And I get the quick shooting Inteleon that I need from my prize cards, so now I can start doing damage on the bench while keeping my opponent's active Pokemon from being able to attack. He promotes his Regieleki. He needs to get another Regice down if he wants to attach any energies. He plays a quick ball, probably searching out that Regice. Oh no, he gets a Regidrago. That means he probably has the Regice in his hand, or it's prized. Oh, he goes ahead and Marnies. This isn't looking too good. I get 2 Evolution Incenses, which I can use to get myself the quick shooting Inteleon out I need. He plays a Trekking Shoes, and he passes. I attach the Wash Energy to my Articuno, and I go ahead and block face. I definitely misplayed by not using the Evolution Incense to get the quick shooting Inteleon, but that's okay. And it goes to the opponent's turn. My opponent may not have what they need to be able to get set up. They attach a Speed Lightning Energy and draw 2 cards. A lot more thinking on my opponent's side. There's gonna be a lot of my opponent just sitting here thinking what they can do, and they attack for nothing. So I go ahead and evolve, use an Evolution Incense. Now I get my quick shooting Inteleon. Go ahead and quick shooting onto the Regigigas. That way I can 2-shot it with Eiscue, knock out the Regieleki, and grab a prize card. And we wait for my opponent to promote the next Pokemon. They promote a Registeel, put down a Regieleki. All they need now is a Regice. They Ordinary Rod, put the Regice and the Regieleki back into deck. Do they have the Quick Ball? I attach for turn, discard an Aurora Energy. And they Serena. I'm probably going to discard a few cards to draw some. They discard the Choice Belt. They don't really need that because I don't have any Vs on my field. I am a single prize deck. More thinking from my opponent's side, and they decide to Regigate, get that Regice on the field. Now I'm thinking of what I need to play here. I go ahead and quick shooting onto the Regigigas. And I just go for the block face. 70 damage, and they still can't hit my Eiscue. I go ahead and draw for turn. They can start attaching some special energies now, but that's not really going to do him anything. He goes ahead and attacks for nothing, and he forfeits. Alright, next game, my opponent chooses to go first. I start with a Sobble and a Manaphy. I go ahead and put the Sobble in the active spot. I can keep calling turn 1. And I do not put the Manaphy on the bench because I do not know if I need it yet. It looks like he's playing a Weezing deck. This can be pretty annoying if he can get it set up. I go ahead and take 3 cards from a mulligan, and I press done. He goes ahead and draws. He starts with a Radiant Venusaur, which is interesting. Radiant Venusaur's ability allows you to draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand, and then your turn ends. I go ahead and use a Quick Ball to get out of Articuno, and I attach to the Sobble, keep calling, to get 3 Sobbles on the board. Now I have all 4 of my Sobbles in play, and I can Shady Dealings twice next turn. Actually, I can Shady Dealings 4 times with the Scoop Up Nets. Oh, opponent goes ahead and Marnies, but that's okay. I still have another Drizzile and a Scoop Up Net. I also have a Water Energy and a Capacious Bucket and an Evo Incense. So I go ahead and Drizzile once, Shady Dealings. I grab out an Irida. It's a great card to get going set up for early turn games. I Irida and grab a Drizzile as well as an emergency jelly. I go ahead and attach to the Articuno, Shady Dealings a second time. And I go ahead and grab a Training Court to get any water energies out of my discard pile that I need, because this deck does run Crushing Hammers, which is pretty annoying. I go ahead and Training Court, get the water energy back into my hand, and pat. Now, some of these games, I am probably going to skip a little bit. There's going to be a lot of my opponent just sitting there doing nothing, trying to figure out what they're going to do in a turn. They go ahead and get 2 Coughings on the field, and then use Venusaur's ability. I go ahead and attach the emergency jelly to Articuno, use a Scoop Up Net on the Sobble, play an Irida. I will grab a quick shooting, or not a quick shooting, sorry, Shady Dealings Inteleon. I will go ahead and use Shady Dealings, get me a Quick Ball, and a Path to the Peak. This path will ensure that the Venusaur cannot use its ability anymore. I play the Quick Ball, get rid of a water energy, and I go ahead and grab a Radiant Alakazam. The Radiant Alakazam can move damage counters around your opponent's board. And I grab a Quick Shooting Inteleon, which can also spread damage on the bench. So I go ahead and Quick Shooting the Coughing. And I use Wild Freeze for 50 damage, paralyzing the Venusaur, doing 50 damage to myself. Now it's my opponent's turn. Uses a Team Yellow Horn, confusing both Pokemon. This actually got rid of the paralysis, which is unfortunate. Uses a Pal Pad to shuffle a Marnie back into his deck, and he uses Venusaur's ability once more. Now I go ahead and Quick Shooting onto the Coughing. And I use Radiant Alakazam's ability to knock out the Coughing. And I go ahead and Wild Freeze, hope I get heads, and I do. Very fortunate for me. Getting the Venusaur 1 hit from knockout. I heal 100 damage from myself, but I'm still confused. My opponent Marnies, which is okay. I can get a better hand from this. I see I can get an Irida, which is great. I can grab a Scoop Up Net from that. He plays down what looks like a Galarian, making my retreat much more expensive. 2 more energies to retreat, but that's okay because we run Scoop Up Nets in this deck. He goes ahead and uses its ability once more. I attach a Wash Energy to the bench Articuno. I Quick Shooting onto the bench Coughing, and I Radiant Alakazam damage onto that same Coughing as well to hopefully get out a knockout next turn. I play an Irida and grab a Drizzile, as well as a Scoop Up Net. I evolve the Sobble into Drizzile. Oh, not yet. I put down the Radiant Alakazam to do 20 more damage to the bench Coughing, knocking it out. Get a Roseanne's back up from the prizes. Now I evolve into the Drizzile and use Shady Dealings. And I decide to grab another Scoop Up Net. I use the Scoop Up Net on the Articuno. Promote my bench Articuno. And I Wild Freeze. Uses a Fan of Waves and puts my special energy on the bottom of my deck, which is unfortunate, but I have another Wash Energy in my hand. He plays Professor's Research. Gets a Crushing Hammer. Flips Heads, which really does suck at this point, but that's okay. He plays a Scoop Up Net, puts the Venusaur back into his hand, and puts the Weezing into the active spot, shutting off all of my abilities. He then plays an Ordinary Rod, puts the Coughing and the Weezing back into deck, as well as a Grass and a Darkness Energy. And he Severe Poisons me for 40 damage. I go ahead and boss up the Venusaur, giving me my abilities back. And I Quick Shooting the Weezing. And I attached a Wash Energy to my benched Articuno. And I pass, which unfortunately knocks out my active Articuno. He plays a Crushing Hammer, fortunately lands Tails, attaches a Grass Energy to the active Venusaur, and plays a Boss's Orders, promoting my Radiant Alakazam. I get an Emergency Jelly, attach it to the Articuno, and I Quick Shooting once more to the Weezing. Use Roseanne's backup to get valuable resources back into the deck. And then I pass. He passes without doing anything, so I go ahead and put Path to the Peak down, shutting off Venusaur's ability, Quick Shooting once more to the Weezing, and pass again. He attaches and passes. I draw Drapion, not something I need for this matchup. I think of what I can do. There's really not much I could do at this point right now, so I go ahead and Quick Shooting the Weezing again, and pass. He draws, and he passes. I got a Quick Ball. I go ahead and play the Quick Ball, get rid of the Drapion, get another Sobble out. I Quick Shooting again to the Weezing, hopefully getting that knockout soon, and pass. Invigorating gameplay, I know. I get a Pal Pad. I shuffle the Irida back onto my deck, as well as Roseanne's backup. Recycle resources. Quick Shooting once more to the Weezing. And I pass. Another turn of the opponent not being able to attach anything. I Quick Shooting, knock out the Weezing, grab a prize card. It's a level ball. That's great. I can get a Drizzile. Go ahead and use Shady Dealings. Probably to get an Irida. Oh, to get an Evolution Incense. To get a Quick Shooting Inteleon, which I can get an Irida from there. I go ahead and grab a Training Court and a Scoop Up Net. Not what I expected. I go ahead and scoop up with the Articuno in the active spot, put down Radiant Alakazam, get a Water Energy from my discard pile, and go ahead and Wild Freeze again. Now I'm back up and running. There's not much the opponent can do at this point in time. They don't have Path anymore, but their hand is too big to be able to use the ability. They go ahead and Roxanne, putting me to 2 cards. Not the greatest hand, but we can work with it. As they say, Roxanne is always a lie. They put down another Coughing, put down Galar Mine, Team Yell Horn. They play a Quick Ball, discarding a Marnie. And they use their ability, ending their turn. I get an Emergency Jelly from my top deck. I go ahead and Quick Shooting the Coughing. I use Radiant Alakazam's ability. And I put some more damage on the Coughing to hopefully knock it out next turn. They go, they draw. They attach to the Coughing. And they use Boost Shake, evolving their Coughing to a Weezing. And they use Venusaur's ability to draw 1. I Quick Shooting onto the Weezing again. It's not knocked out now that it's evolved. I Painful Spoons. I accidentally make it so that the damage goes back onto the Venusaur, which isn't what I wanted. That does cause me a bit of a waste of time for the knockout. He plays a Pokemon catcher, flips tails, and does 30 damage to itself when it tries to attack. I get a level ball. I quick shooting onto the Weezing again. Painful spoons. Doing the right action this time. And I pass. Opponent doesn't have much to do here. They flip and they damage themselves again. I go ahead, play a Rescue Carrier with the Manaphy back into my hand. Don't really need it. I quick shooting onto the Weezing. Painful spoons. Go ahead and put the damage back onto the Weezing again. Hopefully get a knockout next turn. And they damage themselves again. 3 tails in a row from confusion. I go ahead and knock out the Weezing. Take my prize card. And I quick shooting the Venusaur. I grab a Capacious Bucket. I attach to the Inteleon as a secondary attacker. They Fan of Waves, put my energy back at the bottom of my deck. And I quick shooting the Venusaur for knockout. Alright, next game looks like we're facing a metal deck. Alright, looks like I'm going first this game, and I start with a Sobble and an Articuno. I also got a Quick Ball and a Level Ball in my hand, which is pretty good. I go ahead and put the Sobble in the active spot, put the Inteleon on the bench. I draw for a turn. I pull a Wash energy off the top of the deck. I go ahead and attach that to the Articuno. I go ahead and Level Ball, grab a Drizzile, put it in my hand, and I pass. Now, thinking back, I probably should have Quick Balled the Water Energy to get another Sobble, get some more on the field, and pull off multiple Shady Dealings next turn, but that's okay. Now, he has a Mew in the active spot from Celebrations, a Dialga on the bench from Vivid Voltage, and a Radiant Greninja. He goes and uses Concealed Cards, draws 2 cards, puts another Mew onto the bench, grabs an Energy Surge for the Mew's ability. He plays that, grabs a Metal Energy, and attaches it to the Dialga. Now he attaches it to the Mew. He goes ahead and retreats, uses Mew's ability once more, gets a Scoop Up Net, scoops up the Mew, puts the Dialga in the active spot, puts Mew back down on the bench, and he passes. I go ahead and draw. I will attach a Water Energy for turn and evolve into Drizzile. Use Shady Dealings. Go ahead and grab myself an Emergency Jelly. I Capacious Bucket for 2 Water Energies. Quick Ball away one of those Water Energies to get another Sobble. Now, I probably should have Shady Dealings for an Irida, but that is okay. I put down another Sobble, attach an Emergency Jelly, and Wild Freeze. Now, I do have a Drizzile for next turn, and I also have a Quick Shooting Inteleon in my hand. He uses Concealed Cards. Looks like he gets a Steel Energy. He plays a Metal Saucer onto the bench Dialga, attaches for turn, getting 2 Metal Energies onto the Dialga, and passes. I go ahead and Drizzile, use Shady Dealings. I go ahead and grab out. I'm searching, and I grab out a Quick Ball. Quick Ball, drop a Water Energy. I grab a Radiant Alakazam. I use Radiant Alakazam's ability, move the damage to the Mew, try to get a quick knockout there in a next turn, and I use Wild Freeze. Emergency Jelly's effect kicks in, completely healing me, and the Dialga is paralyzed and cannot attack or retreat. Opponent uses Concealed Cards, draws 2 cards. They play a Quick Ball and discard a Thornton and grab a Bronzor. They put the Bronzor onto their bench. And we wait, and we wait. This is 2 times speed. Waiting for my opponent to make an action. It does get kind of frustrating in games like this. They get an EXP share and attach it to the Bronzor, which is okay. Now we wait more and more, and they pass. I go ahead and get Shady Dealings, Inteleon, use Painful Spoons, put 20 damage, or move damage onto the Dialga to take a prize card. They put up their Mew. I go ahead and decide to use Quick Shooting. I Quick Shooting onto the active of Mew. I decide to Scoop Up Net the Inteleon, evolve into Drizzile. I grab out an Irida, I would hope. Or an Emergency Jelly, that works too. I go ahead and attach to the Drizzile. And I do 20 damage to the Mew, hoping that he cannot retreat next turn and buy me another turn. Goes ahead and uses Mysterious Tail, grabs an Ultra Ball, Concealed Guards, grabs a Bronzong. This Bronzong, I believe, can move around metal energies around the board. He retreats into his active Dialga, and he is going to knock out the Articuno and take a prize card. I go ahead and promote my active Drizzile. I evolve into Inteleon, use a Quick Ball, drop the Rescue Carrier, get another Articuno, put it onto the bench, grab an energy and attach it to the Inteleon. I go ahead and knock out the Mew, take a prize card, get an Emergency Jelly. Not the greatest prize card draw when I have one in my hand. I attach the Emergency Jelly onto the Inteleon and attack for 70 damage. Now if the Dialga tries to attack me, it will not one-shot my Inteleon, and in turn, it'll activate Emergency Jelly's effect, completely healing my Inteleon. Bronzong transfers Metal Energy onto the Dialga. Put down another Mew. Waiting for my opponent to make a move. I go ahead and analyze the board, check the discard pile. Yeah, it can get kind of frustrating. He goes ahead and uses an escape rope. I put up the Sobble. He puts up his Mew. He uses Mew's ability. Doesn't get anything off the deck search. And now we have more waiting. Cue the Jeopardy music. Metal transfer. He moves a metal energy over to the Greninja and onto the Bronzong and passes. I top deck a Drapion. Not the best, but I can Quick Shooting. I grab an energy from my discard pile. I can Quick Shooting a benched Mew. Try to get that knocked out maybe next turn. I use Painful Spoons, move damage from the Dialga over to the Mew. And I attach for turn, retreat, and I knock out the active Mew, taking a third prize card. And I get a Raihan, which can be pretty good if my opponent is able to knock me out this turn. They go ahead and use Mew's ability, play Hisuian Heavy Ball. And they get another Mew, in which they put onto their bench. Get a Metal Energy out. Concealed cards. And they play a Sonia, which allows them to search their deck for either 2 Pokemon or 2 energies. They get an Origin Form Dialga V and a Zacian V, which at this point of time kind of surprised me that they didn't have it out earlier. They play down the Origin Form Dialga V and attach, and they get an Ultra Ball, most likely to get the Origin Form Dialga VStar, and they fail the Ball search, not getting anything. Now we wait longer, and they pass. So I go ahead and top deck a very crucial Irida. I grab a Shady Dealings Inteleon as well. No, I grab a Shady Dealings Drizzile instead, and an Evolution Incense. I go ahead and get a Water Energy back into my hand and attach to the Articuno. I Shady Dealings for I go ahead and Shady Dealings for an Irida for next turn. I Quick Shooting onto the active Mew. And my Painful Spoons to move a damage counter over to knock out the Mew, only needing me 2 more prize cards left to win the game. He promotes his Origin form Dialga V, and I Waterfall it for 70 damage. Now, he attaches a powerful colorless energy which doesn't do anything to the Dialga. He evolves into Dialga VStar, which has the Star Chronos attack, which allows him to take another turn after using that attack. The concealed cards attaches an Air Balloon to the Dialga. He's going to Metal Transfer all of his energies onto the Dialga to use his big Star Chronos attack. He moves them all up there. He goes ahead and Star Chronoses, knocks out my Inteleon. I go ahead and promote my Drizzile. He goes and takes another turn. He attaches to the Bronzong. And he is going to concealed cards, draw some more cards. And he does 200 damage for the knockout. Now things are looking pretty rough for me. I do have the Irida in my hand. So I also have Raihan in my hand, which I can use to attach an energy to the Articuno and allows me to search my deck for any card. Go ahead and grab a Sobble. And I attach an Emergency Jelly to the Articuno. I use Painful Spoons, ping the damage onto the Mew, try to get another knockout there. And I go ahead and Wild Freeze the Dialga, paralyzing it. No, he can't retreat, and I haven't seen many switch cards played in this deck. So I may get lucky here. He goes ahead and uses Metal Transfer, I believe, to try to disperse the metal energies around the board. He attaches one to the Bronzong, one to the Zacian, one to the Mew, one to the Dialga. He grabs the Scoop Up Net, puts the Mew back into his hand that I had damaged previously. He goes ahead and uses Metal Transfer again, moving the energies around the board some more, attaching to the Dialga. Metal Transfers another time, moving the energies back for some reason. He attaches for turn, plays down the Mew again. And uses Intrepid Sword to draw 3 cards. Now I play my Drizzile. He's Shady Dealings. I grab myself out. I go ahead and grab myself out of Roseanne's backup. I use Training Court. I use my Roseanne's backup, get an Articuno, Emergency Jelly, and a Wash Energy. Go ahead and shuffle those back into my deck. Use Training Court to get a Water Energy from my discard pile. Attach it to the Drizzile. And I use Radiant Alakazam's ability. Put some damage onto the Mew. I'm going to go ahead and Wild Freeze once more, healing all the damage off. And now it's his turn. He has a Metal Saucer, plays that onto the Zacian, uses Shady Dealings. He is really close to decking himself out here. He plays Avery, drawing 3 cards, putting him at 1 card in the deck. Doesn't have much else he can do here. He's paralyzed. He really needs a switch card. If he has a switch card, he can swing with the Zacian and knock me out, and that'll probably win him the game. But we see some more waiting here, probably thinking about what decision he needs to make in order to keep the game going. He attaches to the Bronzong and uses Intrepid Sword, putting him to 0 cards. He loses automatically, and I get the game. Last game here, I call Tails, I win the coin flip, and I decide to go second. I get an Eiscue, put that onto my bench. I also got a Drapion, but I don't want to play that. I'm playing against an Eternatus deck. He doesn't do anything and immediately passes, which is great for me. I use an Irida. I go ahead and get a Sobble and a Capacious Bucket from what it looks like. Play the Sobble down, play the Capacious Bucket, get 2 energies. I attach to the Eiscue and use Icy Spear for 20 damage. Now, I probably should have attached to the Sobble and used the Scoop Up Net here. He Crushing Hammers away my Water Energy and Professor's Researches after attaching a Vitality Band, and does 40 damage to me and attaches an Energy to the Yveltal. I top deck a Drizzile. I go ahead and use Shady Dealings, and I decide to grab out an Irida. Go ahead and play that. Get out an Articuno and a Level Ball. Play down the Articuno, and I decide to attach to the Articuno, play a Level Ball, grab out a Sobble to put on my bench that I can use to evolve into a Drizzile next turn, and I pass. I see my opponent has a Coughing on the bench, which will most likely evolve into that gross Galarian Weezing that blocks all abilities. And he also has the Yveltal, which causes it to discard 3 special energies from my board. He evolves it into a different Weezing, one that isn't ability lock, and I'm a little confused by this, but I go ahead and Shady Dealings once more. I will grab out a Training Court, get energies from my discard pile, and I will attach to the Articuno, attach the Emergency Jelly. I hold off on the Emergency Jelly. I Evolution Incense and get a Shady Dealings Inteleon, grabbing myself out another Irida, and I also get, what else do I get here? This deck, you have to be really certain of what cards you want to get. You don't want to grab the wrong card at the wrong time and not have it later on in the game. I go ahead and grab out a Quick Ball, and I get out a Radiant Alakazam, which I bench. I go ahead and Scoop Up Net my Eiscue, and I Irida for a Quick Shooting Inteleon as well as a Scoop Up Net. I go ahead and play the Scoop Up Net, put the Drizziles back into my hand, put down the Sobble again, and I Painful Spoons onto the Yveltal, attach the Emergency Jelly, and I Wild Freeze, doing 70 damage to the Eternatus and paralyzing it. He draws. He thinks about what he has to do now, because he can't switch out unless he has a switching card, like Switch or Bird Keeper. He won't run switching card in this deck. He uses an Ultra Ball and gets a Crobat V, which is pretty big for him. He gets to draw 6 cards. And I don't believe he gets an Eternatus from this. An Eternatus VMax, I mean. We wait a little bit longer. I check his discard pile. He's used 2 Crushing Hammers already, and he also has the Zinnia's Resolve in his discard pile, which I thought was interesting. He attaches a 3rd energy to the Yveltal. And he plays a Shauna, shuffling his hand into his deck and drawing 5 cards. He plays a third Crushing Hammer, lands with Tails, fortunately. And I don't think there's much else he can do here. He gets a Darkness Energy from his discard pile using Training Court, and he plays Spike Myth. Spike Myth means you have to place damage counters on your field, I believe, whenever you put a basic Pokemon onto the bench. I evolve into the Drizzile, use Shady Dealings, I grab out a Path to the Peak, shutting down any future Crobats and his Eternatus VMax if he gets it in the future. I quick shooting onto the Yveltal, and then I realized I shut myself down. I shut my own Radiant Alakazam down with Path to the Peak, but that's okay. I go ahead, paralyze the Eternatus once more, heal all the damage off of the Articuno with Emergency Jelly, and now it is my opponent's turn once more. They attach to the Weezing, play Opal, get double Tails, which is very unfortunate, and they play a Lugia from Celebrations and pass. Now this deck is starting to look pretty interesting to me. A normal type Pokemon in an Eternatus deck isn't something you see very much every day. I use Shady Dealings, I get an Emergency Jelly and a Scoop Up Net. I go ahead and attach the Emergency Jelly to the Articuno, Scoop Up Net, put down the Sobble, quick shooting on the Yveltal once more, and I then go ahead and Wild Freeze on to the Eternatus, and that ends my turn. Next turn I could go ahead and quick shooting, knocking out the Eternatus, and then putting another Pokemon up in the active spot for me to paralyze. I grab a bucket, get the last water energy I have in my deck, and attach it to the bench Articuno. I quick shooting onto the Eternatus, knocking it out like I said. I get a water energy and a Manaphy from my prize cards. And I wait for him to promote another Pokemon, which is a Lugia for some reason. Not the type of Lugia you'd expect to see in the meta right now. And I go ahead and Wild Freeze for 70 damage. And then Emergency Jelly's effect kicks in once more, healing all my damage off. He attaches and passes, not looking too good for him. I quick shooting onto the Yveltal again, trying to get that out of here, and I Shady Dealings for a Scoop Up Net. And what else do I get? I get a Lost Vacuum. I get the Lost Vacuum to most likely get rid of that Path to the Peak that I have in play, so that I can use Alakazam's ability once more. I Scoop Up Net, put down the Sobble once more. I Scoop Up Net the Inteleon, and then put down the Sobble. And I boss up the Crobat. You see, if I were to just attack into the Lugia, that would knock it out, allowing him to be able to attack with anything next turn. But if I boss up the Crobat, then I can prevent him from doing anything because the Crobat will be paralyzed. I then use Lost Vacuum, get rid of the Path to the Peak, do some ping some damage onto the Yveltal, and Wild Freeze onto the Crobat. He concedes, and I get game. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. I for sure enjoyed making it. If you like seeing these types of videos, be sure to let me know. And let me know what other types of videos you'd like me to make as well. If you want to see more Pokemon TCGO content, let me know that. If you want to see more pack openings or non-Pokemon related things, let me know as well. I hope you guys enjoy and have a great day. Bye-bye.